The Late Show studio buzzed with electric energy as Stephen Colbert stepped to his desk, grinning with that signature mix of charm and mischief. His presence lit the room, not with celebrity, but with wit, purpose, and heart. The crowd roared, a standing ovation of trust. They weren't just here to laugh, they were here for truth wrapped in humor. Across from him sat Elon Musk. The billionaire tech mogul lounged in the guest chair, tousled hair, designer jacket, slouched posture. But his eyes, sharp, calculating, glimmered with something colder: arrogance. He didn't just arrive as a guest, he arrived like he owned the room. The crowd was split. Some were Colbert loyalists, others Musk disciples. Together they created a strange pulse of anticipation, half admiration, half unease. Something was brewing. A clash not just of personalities, but of ideals. Colbert opened with a smile, his tone disarming but edged with steel. Tonight's guest, Elon Musk, the man with more money than most nations and a plan to ditch us all for Mars. Laughter erupted, a punchline with teeth, the kind that makes people lean in. The crowd was with him. Musk grinned. "I'm saving humanity one rocket at a time. You're welcome." The arrogance hung in the air like smoke. The laughter died down, replaced by a murmur. His tone had missed the mark, too smug, too rehearsed. Colbert didn't miss a beat. "Saving us, huh? Still flashing that billionaire glow like it's a gift just to be in your presence?" Another laugh, this one sharper. The audience was shifting, siding. Colbert steered the conversation into the stars. "So, Elon, Mars, are you really trying to colonize it? Or is this just a billionaire's playground, a cosmic escape hatch, while the rest of us deal with the mess down here?" The jab landed with precision, coated in charm, delivered with a wink to the camera. The audience roared. They knew who Colbert stood for. Musk shrugged, his voice coated in indifference. "Earth's a mess. I'm building the future. Mars is where it's at." Applause faltered. The crowd shifted, some clapped, others frowned. That distance, that disconnect was showing. Colbert leaned forward, tone still light but his eyes narrowing. "The future, huh? What about the rest of us? The ones stuck footing the bill for your cosmic joyride?" The room fell still. The question wasn't just a punchline anymore. It was a mirror. Musk's response cut, cold and dismissive. "Oh, Stephen, now you're whining about bills? Stick to comedy. Leave the vision to me." The crowd gasped. Some booed. Others leaned in. The spring had coiled. The room was taut, ready to snap. Colbert's smile faded into focus. "Comedy, sure, but I'm not the one dodging reality on a private planet." Cheers erupted. It wasn't just applause, it was allegiance. Musk's smirk twisted into something thinner, more brittle. He drummed the armrest, eyes flicking across the audience like they were beneath him. Colbert stood firm. "Dodging reality, Elon. That's rich. Coming from a guy who thinks Mars will fix everything while we're down here picking up the pieces." That line hit like a gavel. Sharp, final. The crowd exploded, clapping, shouting, whooping. In that moment, it was clear. This wasn't just a talk show. It was a showdown. One man grounded in humor and heart, the other floating somewhere above, out of touch with the earth below. A wall of support rose behind Colbert. The studio no longer just a set. It was a battleground. Musk's confidence began to crack under the weight of his own arrogance. The tension in the room simmered, hotter with every breath. Musk leaned in, his voice cold. "Oh, Stephen, you're so noble. Crying for the little people while I'm out here solving problems. Maybe stick to your jokes." His words dripped with disdain, a verbal shove that dismissed not just Colbert, but everyone watching. The audience erupted, boos now louder, shouts flying. Unease turning into open anger, a tidal wave crashing hard against Musk's swagger. Colbert's eyes sparked. "Jokes, sure. But at least I'm not pretending my bank account makes me a savior. Solving problems? For who, Elon? Yourself?" The reply struck like thunder. Fierce but fair, a line drawn in the sand. The crowd exploded, some leaping to their feet, shaking the walls with applause. It wasn't just support, it was righteous fire. A host standing for the people, a titan being called out. Musk lashed back, his hands slicing the air. You don't get it, Stephen. I'm building the future. You're stuck in the past, whining about fairness. It's pathetic. His voice cracked with fury, no longer cool, just cruel. The audience jeered louder this time. Some shouted Colbert's name. The divide couldn't be ignored. Colbert stayed still, calm as the storm rose around him. The future? Sounds like a shiny excuse to leave the rest of us behind. I'm not whining, I'm looking out for them. Something you forgot. He nodded to the crowd. They roared. The applause was deafening, a tidal wave crashing over the stage. Musk's scorn only fanned the flames. This was no longer banter. It was a clash of ideals, and the crowd had chosen. The breaking point hit like a detonated charge. Musk surged to his feet, his chair scraping back with a metallic screech. I don't need this, Stephen. You're a clown. I'm done with your sanctimonious garbage. He ripped off his mic, the cord whipping through the air. His face twisted in fury. The carefully polished billionaire mask shattered. Keep your little show. I've got better things to do. He stormed off stage. The crowd roared, a mix of booing and cheers. A storm of sound that shook the set. The exit wasn't graceful, it was a meltdown. A mogul undone. Colbert leaned back, unshaken. He raised a hand, his voice even. Take care, Elon. Mars won't miss you. The crowd erupted again, louder than before. It wasn't just applause. It was victory. Colbert had stood his ground. The confrontation burned out, leaving Musk exposed. The late show stage now pulsed with triumph, the audience riding the high of a host who stood for them. Backstage, chaos flared. Producers scrambled, headsets buzzed, phones lit up. Musk's exit was already rippling across the internet. He'd shoved past crew, muttering under his breath, his coat whipping behind him as he vanished into the night. A man undone, not by insult, but by truth. Whispers flew. Staff traded looks. He'd been tense from the start, pacing before the show. Nervous. He'd come prepared for praise, but Colbert came armed with honesty. And that had torched Musk's cool clips hit the internet like wildfire. I'm done with your sanctimonious garbage. A viral moment, a tantrum, and a fall. Others hailed Colbert's stand as the digital tide swelled, but the spotlight stayed locked on him. He stood his ground, the crowd his strength, the set his arena. This was his moment. A test of grace under fire, and he aced it. Leaning into the mic, his voice smooth and steady, Colbert delivered with perfect timing. Well, folks, looks like Elon's off to colonize the green room. Guess he didn't like the view from Earth. A quip, light but sharp, that cracked the tension. The audience erupted, laughter spilling out, cheers rising. They reached for the lifeline he tossed, grabbing on tight. With calm hands resting on the desk, Colbert turned the chaos into connection. He didn't gloat, he didn't drag it out, he turned it, flipped the moment into a beat of unity. Thought we'd talk rockets, not launch one off stage, my bad. The grin, the mimic of Musk's mic toss, it was all effortless. The crowd howled. Applause surged, a masterclass in recovery, not just surviving a clash but owning it. Musk's rage faded into the background, Colbert's calm taking center stage. A shift the audience could feel, real, earned, shared with every laugh, every cheer. Then came the pivot. Okay, let's move on. We've got a show to do. You folks ready for some fun? His voice rose, his smile unwavering. The crowd roared, some on their feet, others shouting in solidarity, not just watching but with him. What could have ended as a fracture became a bond. The night had danced with chaos and come out clearer. Not a win built on Musk's fall, but on Colbert's rise. A seamless shift from confrontation to celebration. No grudge, just rhythm and truth. The show rolled forward, The crowd's energy stayed high, a heartbeat steady and strong. Some nodded, others beamed. A studio once teetering now stood tall. Colbert's command. Precise. The set. Alive. A victory pulled from the fire step by steady step. The break approached, but the story had already landed. When the show returned, the energy surged again, lights blazing, applause thunderous. Shock had turned to strength. Cheers pulsed through the walls, a salute to a host who'd taken the heat and lit up the night. Colbert stood tall, posture easy, grin wide, eyes gleaming with quiet resolve. He'd faced a billionaire's meltdown and turned it into a win for the everyman. The audience locked in, clapping, cheering, ready to follow him to the end. He didn't milk the moment. Didn't swing for cheap shots. Well, folks, we had a little turbulence. Elon took off faster than one of his rockets, but we're still here, right? A chuckle, a spark. The crowd roared, laughing, whooping, relieved. They weren't just watching a show, they were part of it. And Colbert made sure they felt it. His hands moved with grace, his voice sure. Musk's shadow faded, the room glowing with unity. The beat stayed alive, not out of bitterness, but out of belief. This was a rhythm they'd follow. Together, online, the storm churned, clips flew. I'm done with your sanctimonious garbage. Guess he didn't like the view from Earth. A viral flashpoint. Some slammed Musk's ego. Others praised Colbert's poise. The chatter echoed well beyond the studio walls. Musk's camp stayed silent. No statement, no spin. While Colbert's crew watched the numbers climb, the moment held. The triumph stuck. Then, like a conductor rapping a symphony, Colbert brought out the musical guest. Notes filled the room, washing away the last sharp edges. The crowd swayed, applauded, breathed again. A night that had crackled now settled into a soft, steady glow. As the clock wound down, Colbert stood one last time under the lights. A figure of unshakable grace. You folks are the heart of this. Thanks for sticking with me. He smiled. Hit that like button if you felt it. Subscribe for more real nights. The crowd rose. A standing ovation. The rafters shook. A blowout had become brilliance. The camera panned wide, capturing every face lit with pride, joy, fire. Musk's meltdown. A footnote. Colbert's stand. A headline. The screen faded to black. A perfect close to a night that soared. A nudge to stand tall. A legacy of truth over bluster. And a fire that still burned in their cheers.